Introducing a completely redesigned experience that you can sense. And that senses you. The new Dell Latitude laptops bring your work closer to you.
The Gabba rebuild all but dead and damaging Brisbane's Olympic brand.
Vilene White's grieving daughter unleashes at Premier Stephen Miles.
After more than 100 years, the end of the road for a famous Aussie brand.
A major stink over dropping bin collection to once a fortnight.
And shopping centre fashion police kicking women out for wearing midriff tops.
This is 9 News Queensland with Andrew Lofthouse and Melissa Downs.
Good evening. Less than 3 months ago, we were told a multi-billion-dollar rebuild of the Gabba was going ahead. Now it seems it's back to the drawing board.
A powerful Olympic official has shot the idea to pieces, saying the uncertainty over the stadium is beginning to drag down our Olympics brand.
In 8 years, millions of people will be arriving in Brisbane expecting a world-class Games, but we still don't know where they'll be held.
Look, I don't think that it is a mess.
In November, the expensive option to rebuild the Gabba was chosen. By January, it was back under a 60-day review. Now it could be all over, with one of the world's top Olympic officials, John Coates, telling News Corp the Olympics movement is on the nose in Brisbane because it's losing community support over the Gabba.
I don't think the Olympics and Paralympics of 2032 are on the nose. I think people are excited about it.
But the Australian Olympic Committee President Ian Chesterman is backing John Coates, saying there are other more creative solutions than relying on a rebuild.
I think the Gabba rebuild is dead, buried and cremated.
And John Coates calls a spade, and he's very good at that. He's very knowledgeable.
The original idea of a boutique Games is looking likely to be the way forward, splitting events across venues like the Athletics Centre at Nathan and Suncorp Stadium. It could also pave the way for the East Brisbane State School to be saved.
Our community was actually really excited about having Olympics in Queensland, but we wanted to do it in a sustainable way, both financially, environmentally and to minimise the impact.
But there won't be a concrete decision until the 60-day review into all Olympic venues is finished next month.
They have wasted 1,000 days of doing nothing.
The review won't be ready until after the local government elections in mid-March.
Not being available until after the council election lets a lot of council candidates off the hook who actually need to be clear with their communities about where they stand on this project.
The first real chance to test the temperature of the electorate.
Let's go straight to Josh Bavis now outside the Gabba. Josh, even if the rebuild plans are scuttled, there are still years of work ahead.
Melissa, there sure is. Dozens of existing venues will still need to be upgraded so that they come up to the Olympic standard and to be able to house the tens of thousands of extra spectators. That's even without talking and discussing about the transport needs for the southeast in order to move millions of people around during and in the lead up to the Games. The wheels really started to fall off this Gabba rebuild project back in December when the state government asked the AFL and cricket clubs to help fund the project. That was met with pushback and ultimately a stalemate. Melissa, these words and comments from the IOC today is a real warning shot to the state government. It needs to start moving from its action plan and just talking about it to acting on that plan now. Melissa?
Josh, thank you.
The grieving daughter of Vilene White has unleashed on the Premier over his remark the grandmother's murder couldn't have been prevented. It comes as Vilene's family stands side by side with the African community calling for calm.
Uniting in honour of Vilene White, her daughter Cindy at pains to show she doesn't blame Brisbane's African communities for her mother's death, but clearly harbours anger towards the Premier.
Step up or step out.
Stephen Miles visited their family's home to offer his condolences after the 70-year-old grandmother was allegedly murdered by a 16-year-old boy.
Walked through my front door and, and then walked out and did a conference and laughed it off.
The Premier categorically denies that's what he was doing and was in fact laughing at a journalist's suggestion he should have mentioned youth crime during a speech about housing.
There wasn't a single reference to youth crime in your speech.
It was a speech about housing. I figured I'd get a question.
Nonetheless, the absence of any reference to youth crime in your speech to the Queensland Media Club would have been noted.
But this comment also has Vilene White's family seeing red.
But nobody can seriously stand up and say they could have prevented this murder.
You know what? I was really glad he said it, because I'm like, you're not the man for the job. If you can't reassure people in the community that this is at the utmost priority.
The Premier's office says he was unaware when making the comment that Vilene's accused killer was at the time already on bail for 3 alleged armed robberies.
Of course, any crime is concerning, any tragedy is concerning, and we will do all we can to address it and work with the police service as well.
But the number of youths committing crimes has skyrocketed since 2015, with police data showing stolen car offences have more than tripled from almost 2,000 to more than 7,000. Robberies also tripling from around 400 to 1,400, while break-ins have more than doubled.
We all need to feel safe.
Calling for tougher youth justice laws, but also for calm, following reports that since 5 youths were arrested over the death, the wider African community's been targeted.
A lot of verbal abuse, many people got bottle thrown at them.
You don't judge the whole community by a couple of bad apples.
Kate Lamb, 9 News.
To developing news now, and Vilene White's family, including her husband Victor, are right now meeting with the African community. They've joined together to host a forum with them and government agencies, including police and multicultural officers, to talk through the challenges they're facing following Vilene's death and what improvements can be made to the system as a whole, with an aim to prevent another tragedy. The youth crime crisis has hit home for the government in a new way, with one of Stephen Miles' ministers having his own home broken into. State political editor Tim Avia joins us now. Tim, thieves were boasting about this online.
That's right, Melissa. All this happened in Townsville, where Government Minister Scott Stewart's home was broken into on Sunday. Some items, including car keys, were taken from his house, with a car at the property also then stolen. That same car was then later seen in Vision, posted online, with young teenagers posing with several vehicles. The stolen car was also reportedly spotted doing burnouts outside the youth detention centre before later being dumped in a park. A 15-year-old boy has been arrested over the break-in. Andrew, Melissa, police are continuing with their investigations.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
A man has been charged with murder after the body of a woman in her 60s was discovered in Tweed Heads overnight. Live to Isabel Quinlan on the Gold Coast. Izzy, the pair knew each other.
They did, Andrew. The 25-year-old man, who we can now identify as Connor Bullis, has reportedly been living at the property for the last few months. Now, it's unclear at this stage what led to this tragedy. Forensic police have spent the majority of the day combing through evidence. But what we do know is that police were responding to a welfare call at the Lakes Drive home around 6 o'clock last night when they made the grim discovery, finding the body of Donna Barraquette. A short time later, they located Mr. Bullis a few blocks away outside of a chemist on Kennedy Drive with serious injuries to his hands. He was taken to Tweed Hospital under police guard for treatment, and earlier today he was charged with murder.
There was blood everywhere, and he walked up there to call the ambulance, and yeah, we gave him some water, and yeah, he had a lot of cuts on the underside of his hand.
Did he say anything to you?
He just said that he'd been, there's an incident where he lived.
Now, Mr. Bullis was due to face the Tweed Heads local court today, but his lawyer said that he was still under general anaesthetic in hospital and had not yet been formally interviewed by police. No application was made for bail, and the case will resume in court tomorrow. Melissa.
Izzy, thank you. We'll leave it there. There are reports tonight that another Australian staple is going out of business. This time it's bow repairs. Abby Guerin joins us live now from their Stafford store. Abby, it's among 100 that could close their doors.
Melissa, it's being reported that the company could be shutting down after an attempt to sell the business fell through. But when we reached out to Bow Repairs today, the official response was no comment. The company was founded in 1922, and there is speculation that up to 600 jobs could be lost nationwide if it folds. It is currently owned by Goodyear Dunlop Tyres, who are also yet to respond to our questions.
Normally these things are kept pretty close to their chest until they come out in public. I think this has probably been going on for a while, and this is a last-ditch chance that they may have to try and save the business.
Melissa, if the company does go under, it would be a huge loss to Australian business.
It would. Thanks, Abby.
History was made in Canberra today as Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister became the first Pacific Island leader to address Parliament. As security tensions ramp up across our region, James Marape pledged nothing would come between our nations, and there was also a plea to bring the NRL to PNG.
A show of defensive might for a people that once defended our shores. Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister James Marape and a grand welcome. This walk reserved for the world's most powerful. Today, trod by the leader of our nearest neighbour.
Mr Speaker, the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea.
Addressing a joint sitting of Parliament, the first leader of a Pacific nation to do so.
It will be a decisive decade for us, and it can be a decisive decade because of us.
With recent unrest at home, Mr Marape thanked Australia, promising a generation of cooperation.
Do not give up on Papua New Guinea. We have always bounced back from our low moments.
As the Prime Minister spoke, 2 floors above, a Chinese dragon welcomed in the new year, a reminder of the power struggle between Beijing and the West playing out in the Pacific and in PNG.
In a world of many relations with many nations, nothing will come in between our two countries.
Tonight, while China has money, Australia is relying on rugby league. The Prime Minister presented with the Queensland jersey and more funding for development. This hard game, the ultimate soft diplomacy.
I hope the day will come when the people of Papua New Guinea can cheer for a team of their own in the National Rugby League.
Yeah. From strength comes security, and from security comes stability, and from stability comes prosperity.
The sentiments and significance of the speech will please Australia and our allies, but words must be backed by actions.
I know we live in a different era, and we're not going back to where we were.
The grip on our region a little tighter tonight. Charles Croucher, 9 News. Today was about regional security, but tonight there is rumbling in our ranks. Defence Minister Richard Marles saying Australia's defence heads and Defence Force have a way to go before they reach the appropriate level of excellence. Any objective observer would say defence procurement and planning is slow and expensive. Now, at a time of instability and threats in our region, the Minister's displeasure is public, and that carries risks all of its own.
The family of missing Victorian woman Samantha Murphy has made an emotional appeal for help to bring her home. Through tears, Samantha's eldest daughter described how strong her mother is. And 5 days on from the disappearance, police say they still haven't found any suspicious circumstances.
For 5 days, Jess Murphy's mum has been missing.
Mum, we love you so much and we miss you and we need you at home with us.
The eldest daughter of Samantha Murphy somehow finding the strength to make this heart-wrenching plea.
Mum's a really strong woman and she's far too determined to give up this fight. I know she's out there somewhere, so if you could please continue to search for her, to give us something to work with, we'd really appreciate it.
By her side, her dad and Sam's husband Mick.
People just don't vanish into thin air. Someone's got to know something.
There are no suspicious circumstances that we've identified at this stage.
The 51-year-old mother of 3 left her home in Ballarat East on Sunday morning to go for a jog at 7 o'clock. 16 minutes later, a woman was captured on CCTV close by. But tonight, police have confirmed it wasn't Sam. Their only clue now, on Sunday afternoon, her phone pinged near a golf club 14 kilometres from her home. The theory is she was heading towards Canadian Forest, her regular running route. That's where the search continued today. Volunteers back on bikes, others trekking for kilometres in the hope of a breakthrough.
Any little thing that you might think's relevant, just call the police, let them know. It'll give us a bit of peace of mind if we get some hope from someone.
Sam has never gone missing before. Her disappearance is completely out of character. But despite every day that passes, her family isn't giving up.
Please come home soon. I can't wait to see you and to give you the biggest hug when I do and to tell you off for giving us so much stress. I love you.
Sophie Walsh, 9 News.
Outback Wrangler star Matt Wright is facing yet another court case following the chopper crash that killed his friend and co-star Chris Willow Wilson in the Northern Territory 2 years ago. While the exact cause of the crash has not yet been found, the Netflix star has been hit with fresh charges from the NT's workplace safety watchdog, alleging he interfered with the Hobbs meters, which records the time an aircraft is in use. If found guilty, Mr Wright is facing up to 5 years in jail and a $1.2 million fine.
A former Australian champion boxer has pleaded guilty to being involved in a sophisticated drug syndicate. Michael Katsidis, who represented Australia in boxing in the Sydney Olympics, admitted to trafficking cocaine and having access to a drug safe house that was raided in Brisbane. The 43-year-old was given a 5-year suspended sentence.
Residents on a Kingston street have been left terrified after a local father and fruit shop owner was shot inside his home overnight. Police believe the attack was targeted, the victim undergoing surgery today, and only 9 News was there as officers investigated.
Sam Naman, a father and member of the Kingston community, owner of a local fruit shop. Last night he was shot in the stomach while answering his front door on Aquarius Drive. Investigators believe the attack was targeted, an instance of organised crime.
It's frightening.
Yeah, it is pretty scary.
It's a little bit worrying.
Neighbours called police just before 11 o'clock, officers sprinting to the scene before searching nearby homes.
I heard one only gunshot, followed by lots of commotion, yelling, screaming, babies crying.
The home remains a crime scene. Police and plainclothes detectives working throughout the area and combing through CCTV to figure out exactly what has unfolded. Detectives are now reviewing this video showing a motorbike leaving moments after the shooting. So far, no arrests or charges have been made. Naman's family describing him to 9 News as a good man. They say his stomach was operated on extensively overnight and today is conscious and talking. Bailey Kenzie, 9 News.
Voters in the Pakistan general election have begun heading to the polls less than 24 hours after 2 electorate offices were bombed in the country's southwest. Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attacks, which killed at least 28 people.
The big councils stink. Fears one major party is only planning to pick up your red bin fortnightly instead of weekly.
The cause behind this daredevil's stunt on the Las Vegas Sphere.
Prince William meets Hollywood royalty in his first public appearance since the King's cancer diagnosis.
Plus, at the end of sport, how Viagra could reduce your risk of dementia. Rubbish bins only being collected every fortnight. That's what the Lord Mayor claims will happen if he's kicked out of office.
Labor says he deserves to be taken out with the garbage, accusing Adrian Schrinner of a scare campaign.
Election campaigns can be dirty, and this one is already all about the rubbish. The Lord Mayor announcing a gradual expansion of Council's green waste program, while at the same time accusing Labor of cutting back on how often your rubbish is being collected.
The Labor Party are planning to reduce the red top bin collection from weekly to fortnightly.
Not so, according to Labor, who says they're also planning to expand green waste collection with weekly green bin pickups and no change to red.
Labor's policy is a guarantee that there will be weekly red top general bin collections.
So can the LNP back up their claim that Labor will reduce how often red bins are collected? Well, not really.
If you double the frequency of the green top bin service, the only way you can do that without extra cost is by cutting the red top bin. It's clear.
So there's no other evidence, just that?
Well, I think we've got all the evidence that we need, that other councils are doing it, other Labor Green councils are doing it.
Have you ever told a lie as a politician before?
Certainly not that I can recall.
But with landfill locations and dumps in short supply across the southeast, we haven't heard the last of the rubbish debate. With just over 5 weeks to go until the council elections, you can be sure there'll be plenty more muck and dirt thrown by both sides throughout the campaign. Tim Arvia, 9 News.
There was more action than usual outside London's Old Bailey today. The criminal court precinct evacuated due to a fire in an electrical substation nearby. Prisoners were marched out and judges and jurors were forced to wait in the cold before being told to go home. A man's been arrested after scaling the Las Vegas Sphere concert venue. The professional climber, who calls himself pro-life Spider-Man, was raising money for a pregnant woman, live streaming the stunt all the way to the top.
Queensland's fashion police. Tonight, the shopping centre security guard who kicked out a customer, accusing her of breaking the law, all for wearing a midriff top. Only 9 News speaks to the young shopper who captured the entire encounter on camera. That story is coming up. Breaking his silence, what Prince William said to the world in his first public appearance since the King's cancer diagnosis.
The firefighting bungle that saw an Aussie town doused in sewerage.
A zookeeper's arm deep in a gator's jaw. Next, the meal that sparked this daring rescue.
Plus, the award-winning Gold Coast home where everything turns on from your phone. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected a ceasefire deal proposed by Hamas, instead renewing his pledge to destroy the group. It comes as the US launched a fresh retaliation strike over attacks on its forces, targeting a militia commander in Iraq.
On the streets of Baghdad, fire roaring from a car at the site where America struck back. A targeted drone hit launched by the US, taking out a vehicle. It was carrying a Kataib Hezbollah commander and 2 of his men. The US Central Command says the Iranian-backed militia leader was responsible for directly planning and participating in attacks on US forces.
I think this is a good thing that they did, a good targeting. It's good to kill the leaders of these groups.
The Pentagon says there were no civilian casualties, but in Baghdad there is anger. America is the devil, they scream. This is the 4th round of retaliatory hits launched by the US in response to the deaths of 3 American service members last month. Tension in this region is bubbling over in Israel.
We are on the way to complete victory.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stamping out hopes of a ceasefire in Gaza, rejecting a proposed deal from Hamas, labelling demands as delusional and doubling down that Israel can win this war.
The victory is achievable. It's not a matter of years or decades, it's a matter of months.
The steadfast stance is a blow to America's top diplomat, Antony Blinken, back in Tel Aviv and intensifying efforts to secure a breakthrough.
While there are some clear non-starters in Hamas's response, we do think it creates space for agreement to be reached. And we will work at that relentlessly until we get there.
In the United States, Lauren Tamazi, 9 News.
A hazmat warning is in place for parts of a Perth suburb after water from a sewage pond was used to fight a fire. Authorities say it was only dropped on bushland, but there are fears it could have blown onto nearby homes due to the wind.
Our priority is to keep people safe, to get the fires out. And in emergency situations, sometimes it doesn't always go to plan.
Residents have been told not to eat produce from their gardens for the next 48 hours and empty any water tanks. It was an adrenaline-filled day at work for a keeper at the Australian Reptile Park when one of their American alligators needed rescuing. Houdini was wrangled out of the water and restrained after a foreign object was found in his mouth. Keeper Billy risking life and limb to pull over 1 metre of sporting tape from the gator.
Well, Prince William has returned to work 3 weeks after wife Kate's major surgery and just days after his father's cancer diagnosis.
The future king meeting actor Tom Cruise at a charity gala, but there was no reunion with estranged brother Harry.
First day back at work with family front of mind.
We really appreciate everyone's kind messages, thank you.
Prince William arriving at a gala for London's air ambulance charity, and his return to duty had a boost of star power. Tom Cruise, a surprise guest at the event. The Mission Impossible star, a keen helicopter pilot. The future king, a former air ambulance pilot himself, met with medical crews before addressing the medical battles in his own family. King Charles is off public duty after being diagnosed with cancer, and wife Kate is still recovering from abdominal surgery.
I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you also for the kind messages of support for Catherine and for my father, especially in recent days. It means a great deal to us all. It's fair to say the past few weeks have had a rather medical focus. So I thought I'd come to an air ambulance function to get away from it all.
The Prince finding humour in what's been a trying time.
And Tom, if you wouldn't mind not borrowing either of the new helicopters for the next Mission Impossible, it would be appreciated. We've all seen on our screens that, how can I put it, you seem to have a different take on normal wear and tear to the rest of us.
This signals a new era for Prince William as a working royal. As next in line to the throne, many of the King's tasks and responsibilities will fall to him, and he'll have to balance it all while supporting his father and the Princess of Wales. Earlier in the day, the Prince handed out honours at Windsor, while his brother Harry made a hasty exit from the country. The Duke of Sussex flew back to California just 24 hours after landing in London, where he saw his father for half an hour and stayed the night at a hotel.
I think that the King is tired. He's gone back to Sandringham to rest and recuperate. We expect him back to London weekly to have these appointments. Whether Harry and him can even sort of repair the relationship, he didn't see Prince William. That speaks volumes.
The King will still do official paperwork from Sandringham. He held his weekly audience with Prime Minister Rishi Sunak over the phone, taking some time to rest, but with plenty of support on hand. In London, Edward Godfrey, 9 News.
Nowhere else in Australia will you find a home quite like this. Modelled on the world's most impressive hotels, the 6-bed, 5-bath Mermaid Beach mansion features a pool, basketball and grand piano. But perhaps the biggest selling point, this home is completely automated to a level never seen before in Queensland. Everything from the aircon and TV to the oven and washing machine, all controlled through your mobile phone.
If you forget to turn your hair straightener off when you get to work, you're able to turn it off on the app.
The home will go under the hammer in March and it's tipped to break the current suburb record of $7.3 million.
Empowering through education. The new first-of-its-kind toolkit helping Queenslanders through their cancer journey.
The deadly snake found hiding underneath a baby's cot.
Queensland shopping centre fashion police kicking women out for wearing midriff tops.
And the Gold Coast rolls out the red carpet for a Hollywood heavyweight. Uber has never managed to make a profit until now. But after 14 years, the global rideshare company says this is a turning point. Finance editor Chris Kohler explains.
Plenty have doubted whether Uber's massive global network would ever translate into profit, but it's finally happening. The company announced an operating profit of $1.1 billion overnight, its first one ever. The CEO is calling it a turning point, but have a look at the share price over the last year. It's doubled, so investors must have quietly decided the turning point was a while ago. Here in Australia, our share market was slightly higher today. Transurban fell despite the toll road company announcing higher profits from drivers, while AGL Energy was the best performer after telling the market its half-year profit is up a huge 359%, which means customers might start asking a few extra questions about their power bills. And the Australian dollar was weaker against most major currencies, buying 65 US cents and 60.5 euro cents.
Checking fuel prices now. The average for unleaded in Brisbane is $1.98. Diesel is $2.01. The average on the Gold Coast for unleaded is $2.01.
Thousands of Queensland men are diagnosed with prostate cancer every year, and 250,000 Aussies are living with the disease. Now, a first-of-its-kind online toolkit has been developed to help empower and educate men during their cancer journey.
You might not know the face, but if you listen to community radio, you might just recognise the voice.
Good afternoon, Zetters. I'm Elliot Rifkin.
The 67-year-old has been on the 4ZZZ airwaves for 10 years. He's never short of a word, except on the day he was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
I just said, cut it out. Cut it out now. Cut that cancer out.
The disease is often called the silent killer. It's the most common cancer among Queensland men. There are no early warning symptoms, and 1 in 5 will develop the disease in their lifetime.
It is overwhelming, and you don't even know what you don't know to ask.
The Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia is now making it easier for men to navigate what can be a daunting and difficult journey.
But what it does, it empowers the patient to ask better questions.
The Survivorship Toolkit is the first resource of its kind in the country, a one-stop shop offering comprehensive facts, advice and expert nursing services.
Potential interventions, what to ask your doctor, how to talk with your family about it.
Will this toolkit save lives?
Oh, I think it will. It'll do it by encouraging men to seek appropriate treatment earlier.
The online tool is for all stages of the cancer journey, from early intervention to diagnosis and treatment and ongoing care.
It's very important for you to take responsibility for yourself and for you to be the one that's informed, for you to form the questions.
To access the toolkit, visit prostate.org.au. Emily Prain, 9 News.
An Aussie mother has been given the shock of her life in her toddler's nursery. Looking under the cot at her home in the New South Wales Hunter region, she was met with a red-belly black snake. The woman quickly closed the door to trap it inside and called a snake catcher.
They are so lucky because they are highly venomous snakes, especially if it bit a child. She's sort of lucky that she did see it when she did, because things could have turned out a lot different.
The snake was released into the wild.
The Gold Coast has rolled out the red carpet for some of Australia's best in film and television for the Actor Industry Awards at Hotter. Tonight's event, hosted by well-known singer, actor and composer Harry Connick Jr., will focus on those who make movie magic behind the scenes, including awards for costume design and cinematography.
I've done my very first acting lesson here. I got my very first gig here. So now that we're having Australia's version of the Oscars in the Gold Coast, it's pretty amazing.
The main actor awards, which the likes of Margot Robbie and Cate Blanchett are set to attend, will be held on Saturday night. A contract standoff at the Broncos resolved. Only 9 News has the exclusive details. Latrell Mitchell and Cody Walker learn their fate as other NRL stars sweat on Las Vegas visas.
Plus, added bonus at the end of sport, how Viagra could drive down your dementia risk.
And another windy one on the coast today, those southeasterlies producing a few showers. There is a strong wind warning from the Sunshine Coast up to the Capricornia Coast, and the winds will stick around for a few days. Right now it's 25 degrees on the Gold Coast.
Intuitive, capable, and above all, intelligent. The Ford Escape is fearlessly designed and makes every day effortless.
Good evening. Relief for the Rabbitohs and the NRL tonight. Latrell Mitchell and Cody Walker are on their way to Las Vegas. The pair approved for visas, but other players are still anxiously waiting to see if the US government will let them travel.
He polarises footy fans, but has won over diplomats. Latrell Mitchell approved to lead rugby league's American adventure.
Great process. It was pretty quick in there, so we're approved, ready to go, and can't wait for Vegas.
Mitchell and teammate Cody Walker will both be granted US visas, convincing consulate officials to give them the green light despite past misdemeanours. The NRL will be delighted. 2 of its biggest draw cards confirm starters in the historic Vegas doubleheader.
Vegas is a great game, and some fresh eyes we get to play in front of, so let's go.
Fellow Rabbitohs Michael Cheekham and Jack Whiten have also been given the green light. Whiten suspended for round 1 but wants to travel with his new team. Rooster Brandon Smith is expected to be on the plane but isn't counting his chickens just yet.
Pretty chill, pretty direct, and they were very nice, and you just got to be cooperative and tell the truth, and I think we did that. And yeah.
Are you expecting to play in Las Vegas?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we've got to go through the process and see what the higher powers have to say, but I'll be super excited to go over there. Obviously, it'll be a trip of a lifetime, and hopefully help NRL generate some money for this beautiful game of ours.
It's been a dramatic day for the Rabbitohs. The club today confirming Campbell Graham needs surgery to repair his sternum. He'll be sidelined for 6 months. This year will also mark the end of the Burgess era at the Bunnies. Tom leaving the club at the end of the season to play in the Super League. Michael Chammas, 9 News.
Out of favour Bronco Corey Pakes insists he won't seek a release to join another NRL club. The dummy half instead vowing to fight his way back into first grade after plummeting down the pecking order.
No stranger to hard work, juggling NRL duties with a carpentry apprenticeship. Corey Pakes has his work cut out, regaining a spot in the Broncos team after falling down the dummy half pecking order.
Look, mate, I've just got to keep working hard. I'm a big believer in, if you work hard, things will work out for itself. So stick to the process and then things will turn out all right.
The positivity message passed on while announcing a new 3-year partnership between the Beyond the Broncos program and TAFE Queensland.
9 out of 10 jobs of the future are going to require a vocational education and training qualification, and TAFE Queensland's right at the forefront and able to provide those opportunities for all of our students.
Just one day a week or a couple of days a week to get out in the workforce and just do something new, it's so great. It's great for the mind, and then at the end of the day you come back to footy, you feel refreshed, and then you can put your best foot forward for footy.
It also helped deal with the frustration of continually not being selected during the Broncos' charge to the grand final.
It did hurt a little bit from a personal point of view, but I'm so happy for the club. I mean, I've been there in the bad times, and certainly it's so rewarding to see everyone doing so well around the club.
The 24-year-old adamant he won't seek a release to join another NRL club.
Yeah, I had a good think about it during the break. Spent a lot of time with family and ultimately want to be playing NRL, but at the same time I've signed a 2-year deal, and I want to honour that. The Broncos have been so good to me growing up, and I felt it was just right to honour that deal. And like I said, hard work does all the talking, so yeah, I'll make sure that happens.
Adam Jackson, 9 News.
It's the nature of modern cricket. The next World Cup is less than 4 months away. A T20 squad, including David Warner, Glenn Maxwell and Marcus Stoinis, has gathered in Hobart to start the 3-match series against the West Indies.
Yeah, it's important for us to start to get our combinations together. Luckily enough, over the last couple of years, we've kind of, especially as a batting unit, we're kind of getting some continuity through that.
New captain Mitch Marsh has tested positive to COVID, but will play in Game 1 tomorrow night. The Bulls will be happy to see the Tigers back on the plane to Tasmania, fresh off their Shield defeat. Queensland has now slumped to a crushing loss in the one-dayer. It wasn't quite as bad as the Windies this week, but Tassie had little stress, reaching the modest target of 151 in 27 overs with the loss of 5 wickets. The John Eales medal needed a bit of help to fit over his hair, but Rob Valentini was a worthy winner of Australian rugby's highest individual honour. The Wallabies forward was a standout in 2023 in what was one of the most difficult years for the game.
I sort of have to thank my teammates as well. They were with me along the journey there. For them to consider me for this award truly means a lot.
And a lift for the Reds ahead of their new season, with Fraser McWright and Cecilia Smith named the best Aussie players in last year's Super Rugby. Queensland motorsport legend Mick Doohan believes his son Jack could be driving in Formula 1 as early as next year. Big things are expected from Doohan Jr., who will be Alpine Racing's full-time reserve driver this season.
I believe he's ready, and he believes he's ready, and I think the team believes he's ready, being Alpine Formula 1. The only thing is there's no seats.
The 21-year-old Jack finished 4th in the F2 Championship last year. Encouraging signs for our surfers to kick off this Olympic year, with the Aussie women impressing on day 1 of their season-opening event at Pipeline. 2-time world champ Tyler Wright moving through to the 3rd round in style, as did Sally Fitzgibbons and 21-year-old Molly Picklin, who snapped up the best 2 waves in her heat. They're struggling in the Premier League, but Chelsea has produced a stunning display to move into the 5th round of the FA Cup. The Blues winning 3-1 at Villa Park to join Nottingham Forest, Leeds United, Southampton and Coventry in the last 16. Hard to believe, just 2 weeks today until the Broncos are on that plane to Las Vegas. The season is coming oh so quickly.
You can't wait, can you, John?
I'll have to behave for the next fortnight, Lofty. We'll see how it goes.
Researchers believe they have made an encouraging Alzheimer's discovery from drugs with a very different use. A study finding men who took erectile dysfunction medication, such as Viagra and Cialis, were 18% less likely to be diagnosed with the most common form of dementia. The UK research examined nearly 270,000 men with an average age of 59. Scientists are now hoping to begin a clinical trial to look at the effects of these drugs on Alzheimer's in women as well.
In just 3 minutes, Queensland shopping centre fashion police. The security guard caught on camera kicking out a young shopper, accusing her of breaking the law, all for wearing a midriff top. That exclusive story is just moments away. Right now, Gary's back with a check on the weather. Gaz, did we get much rain in the end today?
Oh, there were a few heavy showers, Andrew, up around the Sunshine Coast. About 10 millimetres the top drop there today, but it was overnight. Budgerum, 52 millimetres of the gauge up until 9 this morning. And there are plenty of showers in the outlook. It's not far away.
A Queensland shopping centre has been forced to apologise after a young woman was kicked out by a security guard because of her outfit. The woman speaking exclusively to 9 News about the incident that she caught on video as it unfolded.
Told to leave, bizarrely accused of breaking the law.
I have asked you to get out, get out. No.
20-year-old Madison Green was grocery shopping for her grandmother at Dalby Shopping World when she was threatened by a security guard. Her alleged crime? Wearing a midriff.
Right, what's your issue? I can see your stomach. So how come we can have there's a store in here that sells clothing like this, but I can't wear it in here? Any shirt that covers your whole stomach. Why is that? Because that's the law.
Of course, there is no such law. Mid-argument, another woman walks by wearing a sports top, exposing her torso.
Well, she's not wearing a top. Yeah, I saw you first. So I can't wear a top, but this lady can. Well, I saw her after I saw you, and you're a smart. So now you can leave.
The security guard even threatens to call police and ban Madison from the mall before following her through the supermarket.
Leave me alone. That's my job. It was quite intimidating. I was getting more and more annoyed.
Shocked by the interaction, Madison raised the incident with centre management.
I'm a woman and I know for a fact I'm allowed to wear these things. It's 2024. I don't see any issue with it whatsoever.
Dalby Shopping World has told 9 News Madison was not breaking any centre rules at the time and have since apologised for the incident. The centre has been in discussion with the contracted security company, requesting they review their procedures and staff training.
You really want me to call the cops? Yeah, I want to understand what's wrong with my outfit.
Olivana Lathouris, 9 News.
Switch on a Daikin Alira X split system with advanced streamer technology to remove more than 99% of harmful indoor air pollutants and surround yourself with cleaner air this summer. Daikin, perfecting the air.
Gary's back now with your full weather forecast. Gaz, the coast, it's feeling the effects from that tropical low in the Coral Sea.
Oh, they certainly are, Melissa. We were talking about it over the past week. It's nothing more than a tropical low. It's out near Vanuatu, but it is strengthening that southeasterly flow affecting all of the Queensland coast, and also an increase in swell. Some waves arrived today. Take a look this morning at the Super Bank. It was super crowded, no doubt, as board riders hit the beaches today. Look, it'll get better over the next few days with these stronger southerly winds and the swell picking up even further. Definitely the point breaks. We could even see some 2-metre plus waves on Sunday, but that means swimmers do it with caution. The red and yellows only. A pretty nasty shore break around Surfers Paradise beaches. The water inviting though, it's 25 to 26 degrees in. Now let's check temperatures over southeast Queensland today. Thanks to the southeasterlies, just controlling those maximum temperatures today. 31 was the high, Bow Desert, Ipswich, Greenbank and also Redcliffe. The Golden Sunshine Coast hit 30, Brisbane and Logan 31. The weather map, showers and storms over the tropics, isolated storms extending through western Queensland. Onshore winds will continue to push showers onto the Queensland and New South Wales coast. Capitals, 41 in Perth tomorrow. Cloudy and cooler for Melbourne and Hobart. Sunny in Canberra and 28. Alice Springs, 36. Showers and storms for Darwin. Queensland afternoon, showers in Cairns and Townsville. A few showers Mackay. Partly cloudy and warm across the Capricornia. Early morning shower clearing the Wide Bay and Burnett. It'll be hot inland for Mount Isa and Longreach. Chance of a shower and storm. For the southeast, partly cloudy. There is the high chance of showers here from fresh southeasterly winds. Overnight temperatures between 18 and 23. Look, daytime highs, high 20s on the coast and around 30 inland. Moreton Bay, southeasterlies 15 to 25 knots and they'll stick around most of the weekend. That strong wind warning for the Sunshine Coast. Brisbane, partly cloudy, a few showers, a low of 22 and a top of 29. The outlook, a few showers Saturday, Sunday, possible shower Monday, partly cloudy Tuesday, Wednesday fine and 33. Ipswich, a shower or two Saturday and Sunday, chance of a shower Monday, mostly fine Wednesday and up to 35. Here on the Goldie, scattered showers over the weekend, shower or two Monday, possible shower Tuesday, fine by Wednesday and 30 degrees. The Sunshine Coast, scattered showers Saturday, Sunday and Monday, a shower or two into Tuesday, then clearing for a partly cloudy Wednesday and back up to around 30 degrees. At least these southeasterly winds are just controlling temperatures a little more comfortable, guys.
We are enjoying it, Gary. Thank you. And that is 9 News Queensland for this evening. Ali Langdon is next with a current affair.
Thanks for your company. From all of us, good night.
Good night.